Well, it's just like,
Chris,
Yes, sir. How you doing?
well, filling time in between. I didn't have a bio for you, so if you want, you can introduce yourself or.
No.
Some of the other ones said to you.
No, that's fine.
I'll just, let you introduce yourself and then I'll pass out this. Been pretty forward. I'm not passing this out, but I'll pass this out to get everybody to sign in.
I kind of feel like, it's tail end of Thursday. This might be it.
Yeah. So I'll do just a quick introduction. Guideware?
Yep. How's the day been for you?
It's slower than yesterday, but not too bad. We've got upwards of 40 or 50 in a couple presentations.
Sure, but I bet you see it.
Starting, yeah. It'll be interesting. We have the appendix K at the end of the day. Panel discussion.
At the end.
Yeah. Well, they usually do a panel discussion at the end of the day, but it's just at the end of day 2 or day 3.
Right.
Adds a little.
Is Tupper on that panel? Is Tupper, Paul Tupper? Only good man.
So I'm gonna give it all. So
Yeah. He's,
that's.
yeah, I met his whole family for the first time last night.
Okay.
It's wild. Like when you see somebody's family too.
Okay. Everybody had a minute or so.
Pretty good, Tim. How you doing, man? Good. You hanging in there? You still alive? Did you have to get an IV today?
I was thinking about
You're thinking about an IV?
I might just take the shot of B12, but.
I was not exactly right, just worrying my neck. I was up this morning at 5, and I was in the gym at like 6:15. I beat myself right now. Like I'm so tired, I think I'm getting sad.
Somebody was saying that they have the sweet.
Yeah, imagine Steve's going till 4:30 and then talking at 8.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's bipolar weather.
I know, but it came down like, then it's like 50 degrees. I'm like, I'm wearing a hoodie today. I'm gonna be like in a parka by the end of this.
Yeah, Central throwing the gas. Where that is.
I'm gonna just over your side of the fence, so I can just booze it up and hang out and look interested, like,
Oh, then you need to go with throw wool.
No, Raul's in my face, and here's Raul, I'm like, love you, love you.
Kind of buzz on this breath.
Hey, man, that's what we're here for, team building, community building, right?
Yeah.
Satellites are picking it up, walking up the street.
Exactly. That's awesome. This is a heat map of Raul. Dragon Trail coming up.
EOC emissions going out.
You, sir, are a problem.
Good afternoon, everyone. I here to introduce Chris Scott of Guideware. Talk to you a little bit about SkyBridge and OGI and maintaining that compliance with Quad OA. So, Chris, go ahead and take it away. Look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah. How does this mic work? Or can I just talk?
You can just talk out there.
Okay. How's this clicker? Left, right?
Right keeps going. Red dot.
And red dot.
Red dot will help you.
That doesn't help me. We need this. Everybody, how are you doing? Good. Everybody made it. Long conference. My name is Chris Scott. I'm an account manager. The lines that come over from the Guideware side of the house. My background is more in technical sales and things of that nature. I interface with field, I interface with users. That's something I'm passionate about. It's not just sales for me. I want to make sure we're putting out a good product and product that works because I use it as well. It's a pride point to deliver something to the field. I don't want to say sparks joy because it's environmental software, but closest we can get, right? Not just about checking boxes and just making sure it hits the high buttons or the high notes. I want to make sure that it's a joy to use, again, as much as possible. I believe that software should be used to leverage your people and yourselves and make your job easier, not require a degree from MIT to use. So that's going to be a hallmark of a lot of the projects I work on. Clean UI, UX, common sense design. again, to the extent as possible, right? And that's going to lead us into OGI and SkyBridge. So, you lied to me.
Is it? Oh, they probably click over there too. Let me see.
Maybe not.
Hang on. Now try.
Cool. So, I'll should hit this slide first. First thing is that's the background. We'll get into it. All right. So, high notes. Everybody in the leak off side, SkyBridge side, GuideWare side, if you use our M21 LDAR software, you look to us for a solution to fly away when it first rolled out. You've been asking us for years, you're like, listen. And we listened, right? But what we did is we went ahead and we built quad away compliance into an M21 LDAR software. It's noisy, it's busy, it's like driving a Lamborghini to the grocery store. It's too much horsepower, right? It's too much. You need something that's simple, fit for purpose, fit for the field, and more specifically fit for the regulation in the way that y'all run it in the field. Right now, and this is a bonus, this is a benefit of the whole merger and everything like that, becoming part of Alliance. We're now able to do that. We have the resources, we have the bandwidth, we have things that we've never had before. We have things like project managers, development slates, we're running sprints, we're doing things like a professional software company. So we do have, and I think this is inarguable, we have the deepest bench of talent in between the inspection logic side of the house and the GuideWare side of the house. We have the best and the brightest in environmental compliance software. We have the deepest bench of talent. We have the broadest knowledge base. And more to the point, we have you, the SMEs, feeding back what we need to have into the products, right? We're not going to develop it from our cubicles as a bunch of nerds reading the reg and thinking, well, this is probably how it goes in the field. Because of the fact that we have such a dominant presence in the M21 marketplace, most of y'all do some kind of OGI work. We're looking to you to feedback what's important. What do you want to see in the software? This is your software as much as it's ours. The feedback you give us is going to help define the tools that you use. And more to the point, what we hope is we don't want to deliver. We're not first mover. We're not second mover. We're not even like eighth mover. Everybody's got some version of Quad OA or OGI right now. It's out there. We need to develop a software solution that defines software for the whole entire regulation, for OGI in general. Not unlike we did with GuideWare and LeakOS and now SkyBridge, we're looking to build that industry standard tool for Quad OA. So not first, but we aim to be best. We know that OGI is iterating rapidly. I'm very passionate about OGI technology, much of the chagrin of like the services departments in my organization. I'm like, I wish everything was camera. A lot of folks don't agree with me. I get it. But I think that the technology is getting there, right? And whether it's 5 years, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 15 years, that's where we're going. I know. And that's what I always get fed back. They're like, well, it's already been 15 years. I've been hearing this for 15 years. I might be giving this presentation in another 15 years. I'm not going to be as optimistic at that point in time.
It's time.
It is time. It's time, right? We got things like Appendix K rolling down, coming down the pike. There's a lot of things. You've seen camera technology. I know y'all have been out on the floor. You've seen all the new cameras that are coming out. Something I could speak to is technology. I'm a nerd in my real life, believe it or not only on my job. Technology iterates rapidly. We're seeing all these things out there. I saw camera technology that I'd not seen before, and that's because I'm out of the loop. I don't expect people to slow that down. So whatever you think about OGI technology now, I'd say give it some time, right? I believe that it's eventuality, not uncertainty, right? And part of our commitment to that, and again, this is as long as I'm able to sit here and work with you folks and work with the software, work with the technology, I'm going to be driving a lot of this. I want to be a part of what's coming next. I want your business, you as clients, working with Alliance, working with SkyBridge. I want you to know that as long as we're out here developing and we're working with you, your technology will always be at the forefront. You're not going to say, hey, I need a solution for XYZ. We're going to be on it. And again, that comes back to the feedback. We need you to feed back to us what's important. That's how we did it. In my experience at GuideWare, we reached out to the field, reached out to supervisors, to industry. What do you need? All you can speak to that, right? We're like, you're the expert, not us. Tell us, right? And we can build it. Very smart. We've got the hands. We need the minds, right? So right now, this is, let me get out of the way. So this is SkyBridge OGI, and you're going to be seeing a very high level view. If you came here looking for like an animated product demo, that's not what you're going to see. I hate to disappoint, but I want to give you the broad strokes. The big reason for coming here today is at the end, I'm going to ask you what you need to see. We know the pieces that are in every other OGI, like quad away software. We understand that. Those are the expectations. To the extent that they exist, we want to know what's the difference maker. What's that piece in your OGI solution, your quad away solution that you have right now where you're like, it's great, but, or I still have to do this on paper. That's going to be the diff. That's going to be what pushes the software over the line. Whether it's something as seemingly small as my technicians have a GPS map on their handheld, that like live tracks, things like that. That's what I want you to be thinking about as I'm going through here. This is the time where you reach out to us and you say, well, this is what I want, right? I can't promise you we're going to do it, but we're always going to listen, right? That's a hallmark of who we are. All right. So this is going to be the dashboard at a very high level. I don't know that anybody can see this. I think the slides are online, but we're going to go ahead. You can see the design cues that are coming down from SkyBridge, cooling water towers, things like that. We're going to organize your clients. It's fully web-based. I forget these pieces because I live inside of software and it's not obvious to everybody else, so forgive me. This is fully web-based. It's a module inside of SkyBridge. And what that means for you is that you log into SkyBridge, you're able, if you have access to this, this is part of your platform, whatever your program bundle is, you'll be able to go ahead and switch over to the OGI. You're going to be able to manage all your clients, all your OGI, your quad away clients, right through the SkyBridge interface. You hit a toggle, it's not hidden inside of, you don't have to look at all the LDAR stuff. You don't have to wonder, why do I see all these crazy things that are applicable only to M21 LDAR inside my quad away app? You don't have to do that anymore. So dashboard clean. It's a very simple regulation, right? But it's important. Left-hand side, easy buttons for your things that you're reporting, etc. You have your client list over here. And I do understand that this is schedule driven. So what we're looking at right now is just a breakdown of your client. So if you go into the software and you want to look at your clients, you'll see how this one is a pretty anemic map. We've got one in Michigan. I don't know how much quad away goes on in Michigan. It's a demo. To the extent somebody sees something in here and you're like, because you're an SME and the data looks insane, again, it's a demo. So right here would be, your clients, client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4. And you can drill down and start looking at their individual sites here, right? So you can see all your sites, what regulations, lat long, all that kind of jazz. I think that everybody at this stage expects to see this stuff. So I'm going to kind of breeze through it. Does anybody have any questions about what they've seen so far? No? Pretty stone simple, right? It's the expectation, right? It's kind of nice coming into, like a regulation in a software environment that's developed because there's kind of a roadmap, and that kind of allows us to go ahead and really just focus on the gaps. We know what's there, we know what needs to be there, and again, we're looking for the gaps. There's a mobile application that you're going to get with this. Your field technicians or whomever is going to go. They're going to sync wirelessly, not unlike they do with SkyBridge or using another quad away OGI software. They just log in, they get their work, right? It does everything you would expect it to do. What's that?
Let's start with GPS.
Might start with GPS.
Yeah, in the upstream industry.
Yeah, I can talk about a little bit of the GPS functionality and the ideation we've had around that, like some kind of concepts we've had. Paul, are you speaking about like if I'm in Colorado, it knows to only show me things in that area?
Just, I don't know, the other people, but normal mailing addresses are not very typical in the upstream world.
Oh, yeah, and that's why, because I knew you'd be here. That's why I like to disclose. I'm like, listen, I foreshadowed that the data's going to look crazy. It's like we need to have normal data, right? So as far as challenges with staying in compliance, this is high level. Again, you all know this because you run these programs, right? But this is a slide we have to throw in here. If there is anybody in here who's like now just discovering your subject, quad away or OGI, this is going to be especially impactful. But the big challenges we have to address in software is complex data management, accurate, up-to-date information. See this everywhere. Difficulty in consolidating data from different sources, validating and auditing. We're going to handle all that. You're going to stream all your data into one spot. You're going to get the reporting you're used to with like a guide or SkyBridge. It's all going to be at one module. So if you're running a fleet of assets or you're a program manager for XYZ core and you're like, well, I've got like 4,000 well sites, or I've got 2,000 well sites, 100 compressors, whatever your mix is, it's all coming into one portal. You can go ahead and run your reports, audit your data, look at your schedules from one spot, right? Validating and auditing, that's the field piece. That's huge. That's near and dear to my heart, and that's going to live in the mobile application, right? We're going to make sure that people aren't doing the wrong things in the field to the extent we can. If you've had to sit through like some other of my talks, my demos, I'm sorry, but a big part of what I like to do in the field is kind of, I'm not going to say idiot proof it, but I just did, right? We know that like in the field, things get crazy and people hours are not free, and we want to make sure they do it right when they're out there, right? So if people are doing the wrong things to the extent that's possible, we're going to validate it. We're going to go ahead and GPS, daytime stamp everything. We're going to require things like, yeah, you got to take a site photo, otherwise you cannot progress. Like I understand that you took a photo and you plan to merge it later, but let's go ahead and just make sure that piece is in there now, right? Have you done your camera verification? If not, let's just not start with what you do, right? Because maybe that doesn't work, right? This is a side note, like a piece of the camera verification that I think it's a small thing, but it's kind of a big thing. Some people do it, some people don't. If you're doing work in one day, you can go ahead and just have that camera verification cascade. You don't have to like pull it, revalidate it, like throw it into different sites. You can have it be like applicable multiple different sites if you want to, right? So you don't have to redo the work, or you don't have to manually enter it, right? Small thing, potentially impactful, right? So that's going to make sure that only good data goes in there. We're not sending drones out there to make sure people are actually doing all the right things, like walking the path, et cetera. We're not doing the breadcrumb trails. You will have the ability to throw in like visuals and things like that, like guide your technicians and your operators in the field the best of their ability to do the right things. Right? Time-consuming monitoring and reporting, we're going to handle all that, right? Not unlike you're used to with SkyBridge, DOS, Guideware. We're going to go ahead and generate all the reports. We're going to take your data and throw it together. Whether it's set read, your annual, your semi-annual, you want to look at like leaks, you want to see your leaks, your survey reports, things of that nature, all that's going to be in there. Again, these are expected things, right? The mindset you want to be in is if you've used our M21 LDAR products, you've used SkyBridge, you've used DOS, you've used Guideware, expect that level of quality and a level above, right? Because this is who we are in 2023 with a huge professional team behind us. And we're looking to put out the absolute best product in the industry, right? Training techs and ensuring best practices are followed in the field. I touched on that already. I'm not very good about following slides. I ramble. We make sure to do the best that we can to guide the technicians to where they are, GPS, et cetera, validations. The worst thing, not the worst thing that can happen, because we all know what that is, but a horrible thing that can happen is that somebody does, you know, I'll use an M21 example, right? Like they find out that they're, you know, they didn't do a daily, or the daily failed, but they did monitoring anyways. We remove all those things, right? Last part, and this is really impactful, this is coming from like an M21 LDAR world. I didn't realize, so I started talking to everybody how difficult, like how much of this is scheduled, right? It's all about scheduling, where you have to call, you have to like schedule a point, blah, blah, blah. You got to send your technicians out there all over the place. They're kind of running autonomously to a large degree. It's that is the reason for the season. Like you have to schedule site visits. There's all this crazy piece that doesn't exist in M21 LDAR. And initially I missed it. I was like, what? And then this is the whole story. That's the whole story, right? So we're going to handle that. And I'll talk to you about that in a second. Right. So that's managing capacity, scheduling inspections. That's the piece that I think is most impactful, especially if you're managing a team that's all over. You have a guy or gal who gets sick, gets into a fight with his wife, having a bad day, doesn't come into work. We want you to be able to go ahead and reallocate that work to the nearest technician and also message them and let them know, right? Instead of like printing out an Excel sheet and sending an email or something like that, we're going to give you in-application ways to go ahead and attribute that work to them and we'll message them. All right. So speaking to the complex data management piece, again, digitally collects, wirelessly syncs. I feel like this is the expectation. If you got a SIM card, Wi-Fi, hotspot, you know, they go out to the truck, they can sync the data up right there. Like that's going to be on you, like your best practice. Just telling people when you're done with the work, sync it up, right? If not, when they get back to the hotel room or whatever, boom, right? Single source of data across your sites, compiling reports, a breeze, again, unexpected. Right? You would expect that. That's what the software is there to do, to take the reporting lift. In 2023, you're not like calling all your people and be like, please send me all your reports that you did in your own way, and then I'm just gonna make sense of it. Again, we're gonna handle that, right? That'd be a nightmare. I'd go on a killing spree. Like, it's seriously how we're running a business, right? But that's. I bring this up because there may be folks in the audience who aren't intimately familiar with how, I guess professional grade software works, and I skip over that stuff because I generally speak to like the SMEs or the SMEs, right? And I gloss over a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to be better, but that's where I generally live. So all your data is going to come in one spot. It's going to be normalized. It's going to look the same. You're going to have pick lists. This is something that drove me up a wall in the LDAR world, where I would see like a ton of I'd see like a rich data set. I'd see VLV, VALVE, VLAVE, and I'm like, and then it's a data task for me. So we're going to go ahead and be able to normalize the data for you on the front end. Again, making sure things look the same across your organization. Set your best practices and make sure that they're programmatically enforced in the field. Right? All right. And then that also comes to regulating and validating the data inputs, right? Constantly up to date and accurate. You get the information as soon as the database, as soon as SkyBridge gets the information is available for you. I know Tucker likes to talk about it. If you're at a Starbucks or whatever, and you're like, hey, I wonder what's going on with my program. There you go. You got it, right? You're on the fly, you're on vacation, whoever can take vacations, right? So you know that a vacation is never really a vacation. You're always got your eyes on your program. You can just kind of pop in, wife, kids, whatever you got going on, just check. Okay, we're still good. I can still enjoy my vacation, right? Or if not, you get a call to action, you get on the phone real quick. So what we're seeing right here is a camera verification form. It's an absolute must-have. We'll be happy to do one-on-ones at some point in time and start driving through the forms, feedback on formatting, what things are important to you, right? But camera validation form. Of note, like it occurs to me, I see like all the toggles over there, like you can go ahead and it's fully permissioned, right? So your field technicians may have these permissions, whereas like maybe you, if you're like an admin, have these permissions. And the reason I bring that up is because, if you do need to edit something, it's possible, right? It's not, and again, it's expected, but bears repeating, you can go ahead and get in there and look at the data. And if you have edit permissions, you can do that.
Can you press go back for a second?
Yes, sir. Oh, you can beat me up on the data inputs?
Well, the other day when I talked about entering in, wait, this is the verification. This isn't the leak data.
Oh, fair enough. All right. I'm ready. All right. Yeah. SkyBridge OGI, we're going to prepare your regulatory reports automatically. If you are still doing this in Excel right now, this is going to be a game changer for you. It's going to blow your mind and save you a ton of time, right? If you're using another software, you should expect the same or better, right? It's going to compile those automatically for you. Mobile software makes training easier by guiding the text through inspection. Again, I'm skipping ahead, back and forth, I'm all over the place, but we talked about that. We'll guide them through there. Like the queue I have is like the El Paso software we have, where we do a really, really good job of guiding through the methods. So to the extent that they maybe forget something, or maybe you have somebody new, obviously we all know that manpower is not an issue in our industry. We have just a ton of people, right? And we never have new people. But when you do get new people in there, the software will kind of give you cues and reinforce what you taught them in the field in your industries and your organization's best practices. Right? Staying on top of regulations, this is a big one, right? I started, again, not unlike when I got into M21 LDAR. I was like, this is probably pretty simple, right? Wrong. So I was like, we're doing this all over again. They're like, what's going on in New Mexico? I'm like, what about Colorado now? And like, we're doing it all over again. It's the same way, and I don't expect that to change, right? So at the end of the day, your organizations, your compliance, your legal, whatever it may be, is going to be the source of truth. You're the ultimate authority on your interpretation of the regulation, right? But we're going to stay on top of it, and we can go ahead and update it in there. So like the New Mexico regulations or whatever you have, like, beep, we're going to put it in the software, right? So you don't have to go through a whole thing. It's going to be automatically updated in there. You don't have to interpret it and try to figure it out in the field and maybe adopt whatever you have to that. Reg 7, maybe we start doing like, Reg 6, like a bunch of different things in there, who knows? But again, that's just going to be in there. So that's a quality of life piece. Like You may say, I feel like we should do it inside of a gray area, but it's going to be there for you, right? And what we have on the screen here is going to be the report list, and this is the verification report with the peacock. Again, I'm going to talk to somebody because it's awesome that there's a peacock on there, but at that point in time, that'd be like your site photo or something like that. Okay, regulatory engine. We're all familiar with that from M21, right? From SkyBridge, what have you, that's in there, right? So it's going to ensure that everything's scheduled properly, repair timings, the OR timings, all that kind of stuff. So you, to the extent that you're managing that outside of application, you can bring that inside of the application. Like when you're using SkyBridge and you've got it all set up, you just know that it's going to message your folks on what they need to do, when, and now where they need to do it, right? So you're going to go ahead and make, and now obviously I understand like DORs happen, like maybe you can't get into a site for whatever reason, but you're going to get messaged as to when things are due based on the regulations or permits or whatever, even if you have something like a best practice, if that exists in this world, you will go ahead and have that message to you on the timings and what you need to do, right? Routing. This is an interesting piece to me, right? And because initially I'm used to the concept that we hand our technicians, we're like, hey, where are you going to be? What's going on? I look at my dashboard, I look at my scheduling page, and I just kind of slice it out. Like maybe I'll export it to Excel, and I email it to Julio, I email it to Susan. I'm like, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. I've got it scheduled. We're good to go. Here's what it looks like. If anything changes, I'll get with you. So if you've used Leak Dust or SkyBridge, and most of you have, or at least you're aware of it, you're still going to be able to go ahead and download an asset on demand. These things come up. You're like, hey, this happened. You can go over there now. You're in the area. Great. But we allow you to go ahead and build out routes. And what that's going to be is like, to the extent that you're taking whatever software or whatever you're using right now, whether it's paper or anything like that, and you're saying, okay, you're going to be in Colorado. These sites are up here. This is what needs to be done. You send them a printout and they know where it is. It's got lat long or things like that. And they just know to go there and do it in the morning. They download their stuff or whatever. You're able to build them a route exactly like in SkyBridge or Leak Dust. You can go ahead and allocate to your technicians whatever assets or sites that they need to hit based on your schedule, and you can go ahead and allocate that to them, date it, whatever. And just like in SkyBridge, when you go ahead and they log in, it's like Julio Salazar, he gets what he needs. On the application, it's also going to cue him as to where that stuff is. Now, I would like to think there's a dream world where they just check their apps and they just do all the right things. You're probably going to need to give them a phone call and be like, hey, you got something coming, right? That's nice. You can change that out on the fly. You can add, you can subtract. Again, in this fictitious example, if Julio's like, hey, I've got a family emergency, I can't be there, you can find the technician that's nearest to them and you can just go ahead and reattribute the route to them and just let them know, wholesale. Or you can break it up. If you need to add, subtract assets or sites, great. You can do that all from the comfort of wherever, right? And that's more of like traditionally a DBA role, but what we found is there's generally somebody who's like doing the scheduling at a high level. Some places are kind of letting the technicians run wild and the field operators, but somebody normally has an eye on it. And this is a way to do it frictionlessly, digitally, and you just let them know how this something's coming for them. They just pull it down and the application's going to guide them where and through the process, right? Any questions on routing? Okay, pretty common sense. This is nice. Everybody in here kind of gets the gist of it, right? So I like this piece just because I started seeing people like they're emailing and printing things out. And in 2023, that seemed insane to me. I get it, but I get it because I do that stuff too. And like at the same time, I'm saying it's like I'm going to go do some stuff in Excel and like, but you can just take your whole entire fleet of sites or assets or whatever. I keep calling them assets. Some people call them sites. You can take all your work, break it up against all your technicians, and just distribute it. You're good. You're done for the week.
As you have mobile connectivity.
As long as you have mobile connectivity, right? That's absolutely a good call. So there'd have to be a step in your procedure, right, where you say, hey,
There's some locations that you do go off the grid.
yeah, so that's actually brings up something good. We do not require always on mobile connectivity. New Mexico is not great for that, right? So just like SkyBridge, you just need to have it once, right? And the popular thing is like you have to do it McDonald's, but we all know that most of our people have hotspots in their truck or their phone or whatever. So all they need to do was just bing.
Let's say
Even that?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's getting better and better and better. It's been a few years.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you that. I won't give you pushback because I've definitely seen situations where people they're like, I'm on my hot spot right now.
I'm gonna send you all my records.
Yeah, I'm on my hot
As
spot.
soon as and then another 20 minutes so I could find a place and send them.
Yep, no, I've been there. I don't know if there's anything we do, maybe talk to Elon about Skylink. I have no idea. But for the most part, that situation, you drive 10, 15 miles down the road and eventually you figure it out. That's just kind of the realities of the job. But yeah, point well taken. So, boom. All right, site details, again, all the bells and whistles, GPS maps. Again, this is in development. This is what it looks like now. It will look better. So you're going to have all your pertinent details. The big takeaway here that they want to highlight for everybody is that on every single, your sites, your assets, things like that, you can store all the documents from the inspection record. Everything that's applicable, that site, that asset, whatever you want to call it, is going to be right there. You can look at the schedules, the component based on the regulations or whatever is applicable it right there. It's finely granular. And me personally, like when I'm looking at managing a program digitally, I don't normally go to the asset or the component level unless it's like an auditing task, and even then. But we do give you the ability to do that. Again, in your mind, think Guideware, think Lead Dust, think SkyBridge, that level of detail on an asset level, right, or a site level. Powerful and intuitive mobile application. One of the first projects at Guideware that I was able to help roll out was Guideware Android, right? And it's mobile software. And previous to that, I've been dealing with, well, I mean, the antecedent, right? The Windows Mobile Guideware software. And there, for the longest time in the industry, it just had to be functional, right? You just had to do the things. We're checking boxes, enter PPMs, do the calibration. Does it work? Great. And we moved away from that, made something that was actually intuitive, smooth, and didn't look like Windows 95, right? So we started moving our design ethos towards that. You'll go ahead and get all your sites, everything you expect, camera verifications. You put something on DOR, I guess, if you want to do that in the field, a lot of those things, right? All the expected things that you'd have in there, download, sync, etc. Again, we're a little bit light here because we're running through development right now. But, you know, as I like to say, stay tuned. There'll be more. Right. This is a side piece, right? And this is looking forward, right? There's a lot of talk about this. I think there's a presentation NCAP here for Appendix K, a panel discussion. I talked to a lot of folks about this. Like, we're looking forward. Like, where's this going? Like, is this going to accidentally kill OGI? Like, what's going to happen, right? How's it going to be implemented? We're asking questions like, are we going to be digitally inventorying? And this is more like, just put this in your heads. I can't really overemphasize how important your feedback is. It's not like you're screaming into the void or like, we'll put it in the dead letter box when we'll get to it, never. We want to know your take for the future, right? So with Appendix K, are we going to be doing tag lists? Are you going to be rolling an M21 inventory over? Things like that, right? We have experience making the change from an M21 based program to OGI and digital inventory. We worked on the Guideware side of the house. We've done, that's the part I can speak to that I worked with. AWP, most recently SOR 2020, which is kind of like, you know, 2 OGIs and 1 M21. We took a whole fleet of assets nationwide and we brought them from purely M21 to mostly OGI and structured that. You know, again, Appendix K, what about the training auditing piece? It's not great, right? So we're talking about ways to like program and schedule that out to remove the lift on your folks, right? We can't take the trainings for them. But we can let you know what's going on, whether it qualifies. So these are some things we're thinking about, right, in the future. So this is the question and answers piece. And really what I'm looking for here is anything you want. It's your show. But what do you currently have or don't have really in your current like waterway solution that you want, even if it's something crazy that you just thought about? Is there anything out there that you feel is deficient? Is there a gap? Something I didn't cover? Any questions in general?
How much data storage is available for uploads, like files, pictures, video?
How much data storage?
Yeah.
Depends, right? It's cloud.
Well, do you like charge based on storage need, or is it just ongoing, infinite?
Yeah, I go the infinite. You're like, we call this product the bankrupter. We rolled it out and people are storing whole seasons of Seinfeld out here just to get back at us. No, that'd be something we'd have to talk about. That's not been fully fleshed out. Right now, you know, you're talking about primarily with this, you're talking about like 15-second video, picture, things like that. That's the expectation, right? Like however that, but if you're like somebody, Tim, you come to be like, I'm doing full site surveys, right? I'm like, well, okay, we got to talk about this. And that speak to, you know, maybe like an appendix A or like or AWP or something like that. We might ask that you maybe don't store that on there or have a side conversation and talk about what the data need is. But so right now, the expectation is 15 seconds of video and a picture.
Do you see any, do you see any challenges with Appendix K when you have to have a 5-minute video every day from every operator to make sure that they can tie their shoe? And a 2-hour video every quarter from every operator to make sure they can walk.
Yeah, do you want me to tell you the truth or lie to you? Like,
No, I'm trying to understand this as all of us are. That's why we have a panel at 4
yeah,
o'clock. But
like
yeah.
I feel like, again, stay tuned for that panel. I mean, it's like it's really interesting for us as like a technology firm, right? Looking at these challenges, like how this is going to work and trying to remove the lift from industry as much as we can. We don't know yet. We've got ideas, but they're kind of percolating. And we're looking at like, I don't know, do we have like terabytes of data for like one site? Like, how does this work? Do we ask people in 2023, well, that's great, well, but kind of store it on a thumb drive in your office? That's not the right answer either. So we'll get there. But again, we're going to need all the SMEs. So we're the tech SMEs and we'll work with you and we'll figure it out.
So kind of like with the TVAs where you have the connectivity, do we see moving to that in the future with the OGI cameras, like the camera having a connection to your mobile device?
That's a good question. Yeah, so we do have a precedent. That's not going to be here, but yeah. So we have, back from the guideware side of the house, when OpGal rolled out without an intrinsically safe Bluetooth in the field, we worked with their folks and we did that. It was really, really slick, right? I do see us moving that way generally, and the way it worked, and it's in production right now in guideware, is you Bluetooth paired with the camera, right? And the minute you took a picture, it automatically just beamed it right into the handheld, took a video, the same thing. It's storing it right there in the DB3, so you don't have to do that process that you and I both love, where you plug a camera in via USB, you cut, you paste, you upload. Currently, that's where we're at right now. Doesn't mean that's where we're gonna end. We have a precedent, we have the knowledge, and we've done it before. So if that's something you say, hey, that's gonna be really impactful, maybe we move that up.
Yeah, because my thought is you would be able to track people's training times that way. You'd be able to justify hours that way. And a lot of other applications that you're using, about 21, as far as with compliance, where you're setting a time frame of how, like, depending on the size, there's a time frame of how long you have to be monitoring that area.
Yeah.
With Appendix K, it's the same thing. There's like that 2 seconds per component requirement, so you can use that into something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd like your questions. So, I mean, to that end, like, we've even talked about, as far as the QA/QCs, like, QA/QCs, like, with Appendix K, yeah, like you're talking about dwells, like some kind of digital dwell based on the camera, right? Yeah, but also not, even in quad away, like, maybe you say, hey, I've had my best guy or gal, I've had my best person do this. They have, 500 sites under their belt. They've gone to training for 400 years. You know, they've traveled to the moon, whatever the requirements are. You can go ahead and define like a dwell time for your sites. And you can say, hey, if you finish this compressor stations up in under 14 minutes, you didn't do it right, and I'm sorry, right? And you can't do that. And similarly with Appendix K, that's that same thing. Is going to have to carry over. We're going to do our best. I mean, I guess I'll try to be respectful of like just the regulatory process. Like I'm sure it's very difficult, but the honors regulation, like Appendix K as it stands right now, we will do our level best inside of technology to remove that lift and try to make it as seamless as M21 for you, right? So from your chair, you're going to be able to programmatically dictate how your program is done. You don't have to do all these quality checks and blah, 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 right? What else we got? Paul, you got any questions for me?
No.
Good, I like you. Quad away, anything you're using, I mean, if you're running a quad away program, I'm going to make an assumption that you're using software right now. Is there anything you're missing? Anything that maybe I didn't cover that you love and you maybe think I missed?
I was gonna say, not so much for OGI, but, you know, we using big valves for quad OA for gas plants, right? We would like for, you know, we have to submit those reports through SkyBridge, the EPA system. It'd be nice to have a module that can just automatically populate that straight from the software, spit it out.
Yeah,
So it's a
so,
lot of manual manipulation now.
yeah, so you're talking about, like you said, you got like super awesome Excel template, it's like
And
a
you
hot mess.
can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's like all locked down, you're like,
Yeah.
what's the password to this? Yeah, I'm not familiar, I was like, why is there a password on this? This
Yeah.
came from my software.
Yeah.
What, why is this password protected? And then I figured out how to crack it,
Yeah.
whatever. But, yeah, so what you can do is inside of this, you're gonna hit print through like granular, semi-annual, it's gonna pull the data out, it's gonna pre-populate that. We're not submitting it for you because we're not doing that, that's not what we're going to do ever. But you're gonna be able to QA/QC it, and you're gonna take the data people and you're gonna be like, this is what SkyBridge OGI gave me, is this right? Because we all do that. Even if we've used SkyBridge leaked out SkyBridge for 100 years, you're like, you know it's right, but do you? And you always run all the reports and all that kind of stuff. You're gonna get a full set report populated, and then once your people say green light, submit. You don't have to do the manual data entry anymore. No cut and pasting. Are we at time?
We got 5 minutes. We have one last question, then we can transition. If not,
I have a question on that, Chris.
No, you said you didn't have any questions.
On that, yeah, I lied. On that quick print to TDX
Yeah.
report, right? Is it gonna be in the most recent format so that you can upload it directly into TDX? Or do you then have to take your data, copy it into their format and then upload?
Right, well, that's gonna be, I've run into that, that's fun, right? Our plan is to stay on top of it as much as possible, and make sure that you're always dealing with the most updated, but the thing that we'll actually seamlessly go through to the extent possible. And you have too, right? We've worked with the agency sometimes, and sometimes we don't have the best communication, the best knowledge. So what I can say inside of integrity is that if there's ever a situation where you do it, you're like, this should work, it goes, it's only gonna be a matter of time before we update. We're gonna do our best to stay on top of it and make sure you're always using the latest and the greatest.
everybody give Chris a round of applause. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Few-minute break, and we'll be back here for your next episode of Appendix K discussions. And
I like that.
now we're moving into consent decree. Hey, now.
Hey, quick question.